Welcome back, Shalligators. We're gonna talk about TRADWIFEs today because listen, I had filmed this video in time for International Women's Day on March 7th, and I was in London and I didn't have the bandwidth to upload it, like the speed, and I watched it back anyway and it was bad, it was stupid, and I was like tired when I recorded. Anyway, I was like, I'm just gonna redo it because we can keep talking about this. So it is not International Women's Day, but that's okay. Every day is Women's Day. No, it isn't. No, actually, every day is not International Women's Day, except for the one day. The one day when people are like, women, and then they go back to like, fuck women. Yeah, you're too fat, you're too thin, you're too this, you're too that. And we're like, but we got a day. We got 10% off in our inbox from like Fashion Nova. Woo! Ah. If you wait until Men's Day, it's 80% off. It should be the percentage off that's the difference of our income between men and women. Yeah. So I had asked you guys on Instagram, like, what should our topic be? You know, let's talk about being a woman and everything. And the big response was TRADWIFE. So TRADWIFE means traditional wife. And it's this kind of movement, this return to a very conservative sort of dynamic that women have with their husbands or boyfriends. Basically, you're a stay-at-home wife or you're a stay-at-home mom. What does this mean for feminism? Why would anyone want to do that? Well, I'm going to break it down because my answer might surprise you. I think you know what I'm going to say. You might actually not. So we're going to talk about that. I'm going to rant about just feminism in general, what it means, and I'm going to recap for you why I am a proud TERF. So before we get started, just want to remind you, if you want to talk to me one-on-one, head over to passes.com. You can submit your question there. I get back to you within 48 hours. And by the way, if you have submitted a question and elected an audio note, you might have seen glitches, or you might not have been able to actually submit your question. There was something about that feature that was glitching out, so I've removed it completely. So we're only doing custom videos now. We never had a problem with that. So if that is the case, if you paid for it and you for whatever reason couldn't submit the question, I have messaged you on there, so check it out. And if that still isn't working, ask for a refund and then go back and buy the video because I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. It's kind of a new platform and it's been very, very seamless, but there was just something about the audio note thing. So it's off the table. And don't you want to look at my beautiful face anyway? Hello, it's me. Because I talk forever. I talk for like, I don't know. They're guaranteed to be at least 6 minutes. It's a lot of jibber jabber. Let's talk TRADWIFEs. Well, before we get into that, let's talk about womanhood to begin with, because last year on International Women's Day, I went on a full video rant about why I am a proud TERF. I am trans exclusionary feminist, okay? What is the R? Trans exclusionary radical feminist? I think it stands for radical. I'm not a radical. I'll talk in a second about what feminism is to me and what I believe it started out as, but no, I am a trans exclusionary feminist. Trans women are not women. They're their own new thing. They're a whole new product on the market, okay? You cannot purchase womanhood. You cannot surgerize it. You cannot purchase chromosomes, skeletons, or, I don't know, 10,000 years of bullshit that we have had to deal with. Getting burnt at the stake, being denied abortions, even the fact that we have a womb to have an abortion in. I'm sorry, I don't believe you can purchase the sacred feminine that Mother Nature imbued us with. And I will not apologize for that. And I will not embrace trans women as women. I will embrace you as your own thing. Great, good for you. If this is what you want to do, I don't understand it. I don't think you should be able to do that until your brain has closed and you're at least 25 years old. And I think you should also prove that you have gone out and been a slut with the body you were born in. Hear me out? Hear me out. I see a lot of people, you know, they go through adolescence or they're young and they're like, I don't like this. Nobody likes adolescence. Nobody likes this. Please don't look around and think that everyone else is having this amazing experience. They're not. Everyone is struggling too, whether they think they're born in the wrong body or not. Learn to use the body you have. Learn to use it. If I gave you a Honda and you're like, I don't know how to drive this thing. Well, have you taken any classes on driving? No. So I need a horse and buggy with a rocket launcher, with like a rocket thruster strapped to it. But that doesn't exist. Well, it should exist because that's the only thing that I know that I can drive. I can only drive that. I can only drive that. So, or fine. If I can't have that, I want a Lamborghini. Okay, well, you can't drive the Honda. Well, I just think that that's because I just need the Lamborghini. It's like that. Learn to use what you have. Learn to use the body you have. Go out and date and be absolutely sure, hey, this isn't the right path for me. Then start chopping off body parts. That's all I ask. And once you do that, fine. You have created your own new frontier. You're your own new thing. Do not come into our frontier because we are not in this society post-women. All of our problems haven't just been like, boop, put a little bow on and like, oh, we have all this extra bandwidth and energy to help you. New created woman. No, don't you stand on our shoulders. Don't you say you're like us. You're not like us. You're not like anything else. And that's fine. But that is the path you've chosen. It is a frontier. It is uncharted territory. Chart it your own damn self. We're busy charting ours. I'll cheer you on from my lane. Don't come into my lane. It's not your lane. It's a different lane. I think that that is more than reasonable. More than reasonable. It's not hateful. It's logical. And I think a lot of people in that movement, not everyone, are hoping to deny logic. I mean, they're certainly hoping to deny DNA. Don't run that fucking game on me. Don't run that game on any woman around me, or I'm gonna stand up and say what a lot of women out there aren't able to say because they're gonna get fired, they're gonna get canceled. I don't give a fuck. You can't fire me, you sure? I think it's obvious you can't cancel me, okay? So I'm gonna stand up for women. I'm gonna stand up for anyone who wants to do whatever they want with their body. That's great. I'm a body autonomy absolutist. I am not an identity absolutist. I am not a hijacking absolutist. Carve out your own lane. You go. Yes, you go, new type of person. But you're not our type of person. You're your own new one. Great. That being said, so just in case you thought maybe my feelings had changed in the last year, they have not. They have not. And Dylan Mulvaney can go fuck itself. It's not a woman. Has he chopped off his penis? No? Oh, okay. You still pee standing up and get blowjobs. Okay, got it. So you're not a woman. So you want all the benefits of what actual trans people are doing, really going through with the surgery, really going full force on that, but you're not actually willing to do it. I mean, as far as I know, he has not had that surgery. He's done the feminization thing to look like a woman. And I mean, he came out looking a lot more like a woman, but he hasn't really gone for it. He doesn't have tits that I've seen. So he's acting like he's trans and he's not. He's actually trashing his trans brothers and sisters who are willing to take that step. That pisses me off too. And if anyone is surprised that this is my stance on this, I don't know why, because I have always been the naysayer of delusions. Girl, he's not into you. Girl, this company is never going to treat you the way you deserve. I'm here to shoot you straight. I'm Barbie meets Dr. Phil. A little Blair Waldorf mixed into it. We have to account for the elitist attitude somewhere, right? So yeah, I'm always going to shoot you straight. Might not like the sound of it, but doesn't mean that it's wrong. Okay, feminism. What is feminism? I've said this before. To me, feminism is not she works and wears trousers. Feminism is not she stays home and takes care of her man. Feminism is whatever the fuck you want. Feminism to me is, it's not one lane. It's, hey, I have every lane available to me. I am allowed the exact same opportunities that men are allowed to, like within reason. I don't think women should be competing in men's sports, but I think they should be competing in their own sports, you know? I think they should have every available path open to them. There is not one path that's like, that's the feminist path. No, the point to me of feminism is you can choose your own adventure, girl. It's whatever floats your boat. It's whatever truly works for you that makes you feel authentic. And so when people say tradwives are not feminist, if that's authentic to that woman, then that's inherently feminist. She is doing what she wants to do. Is that not what we were all fighting for? The equal rights and the votes and the burning bras, like that was the point, is let a woman do whatever the heck she pleases with her life. Stop boxing her in. Stop telling her who she's supposed to be or she's a betrayer to women if she does this and she's not cool enough if she does that. What? Get off her jock. Let her do whatever she wants. So, when I think of tradwives, I see feminists. But let's break down what a tradwife actually is, because the theme of this video is the pros and cons. Now, you might have come here with your mind very much made up about, you might have honed in on one. It's like, I can see nothing but cons to being a tradwife, or maybe not. Maybe you're like, I can see only pros to not having to deal with corporate America. Okay. The truth, as with most things, somewhere in the middle. There's upsides and downsides to everything. Okay, so the tradwife thing. There's tradwife influencers now, because there's coffee influencers. There's people let me be an influencer. Yikes. I know. Mistake. You guys, by watching this, are encouraging me. Nightmare. The whole tradwife thing started a few years ago. And it's this big shift back to very traditional values, almost like 1950s housewives. Women wear aprons and they wear more conservative clothes. Modest is hottest. A lot of mommy Mormon bloggers are considered tradwives. You know, they don't work. Their life is in the home. They are embedded in domesticity, and they kind of like live to serve their family. And it's funny, like one of the big question marks over the tradwife thing is like, well, you can do anything. You can go work for SpaceX. You can be on OnlyFans, and you want to sit home and cook casseroles. I always like to look at the psychology of any movement. You know, I love psychology. The tradwife movement, I believe, is rooted in, I don't want to say fear, because I think that invalidates a lot of women's desire to do it. I don't mean it in that way, in an invalidating way. I think it's rooted in the fear of what the fuck is going on in the world. The world is a very scary, unstable place. And the tradwife thing, you know, picked up steam definitely during the pandemic. For one, people were home and they're like, I actually really like this. I kind of love canning vegetables and, you know, mowing the lawn, watching my husband mow the lawn. Like, when you're forced to be in the home, a lot of people really embraced it, and they got a break from work and they're like, you know what? I don't want to go back. I don't miss this. I want to be around my kids more. I don't get it, but I feel very fulfilled doing this domesticity thing. And maybe that was a result, it's an overcorrection. You know, it's like, I was so corporate for so long, I need to correct and go all the way back. I understand correction. I lived for 15 years in New York City and I moved to Montana. I get it. We're going to talk about that in a minute though, the correction aspect of it. But during the pandemic, it was a very uncertain time. We didn't know where the world was going to go. I mean, some people had varying degrees of terror about the pandemic, and life was varying degrees of different after it. And I think we can't really blame anyone for wanting to go back to a time that just seems simpler and more stable. So I've been a little trad curious, because I think you guys have watched me get more conservative since I've moved to Montana. And you know, which comes first? I think I was drawn here because I wanted to kind of make corrections from my life in New York. I was just sick of it. I was sick of it. I wanted a life that felt a little bit more traditional, and I've ended up dating men who feel more traditional. I date a lot of like ex-military guys, and people will laugh at me that I want someone deadly. Oh, you want someone deadly? Yes. Because first of all, it's hot and masculine, you know, and then that enables me to be a bit more feminine, you know, like I can be a little bit more girly because I know I have got a man at the door. Also, I have people threatening to kill me, you know, so I want a man who can kill them first. I want a man who's not just hunted animals, he's hunted people. He's hunted terrorists, okay? And you can call me crazy for that. Remember what feminism is. Feminism is we get to do whatever makes us happy, okay? There's not one path. And a big reason people want to kill me is because I'm a city person that moved to Montana. Evidently, this is very triggering because they think I've driven up housing prices. Here's a little fun fact for you. 27%, I wrote it down, of homes as of March 2023, 27% of all single-family home purchases in the US were not made by people. They were made by hedge funds. Hedge funds are driving up the price of real estate throughout America, okay? This means that if you're trying to buy a house and you're bidding against who you think is another buyer, that's not a person. It's Wall Street. It's a hedge fund. And so they've got all the money in the world. So they're gonna drive the prices up. They don't give a fuck. They turn around and rent them or sell them at a huge profit. That's who is pricing you out of the market. Not Shallon Lester, not big city people moving to small towns. But here is some good news. The Democrats recently introduced a bill in both houses of Congress to ban hedge funds from buying and owning single-family homes in the U.S. It would require that hedge funds sell off, I did write this down, that they would sell off all the houses they own over a 10-year period and ban them from owning any at all. Like, yes, thank you. Okay, this was just a tangent I kind of needed to get off my chest, but that's good news. That's really, really good news because I didn't even know that 27%. So just kind of keep that in mind. You know, it's really important to support these kind of initiatives. Okay, anyway, back to TRADWIFEs. During the pandemic, I mean, things that we took for granted that required zero bandwidth, going to Target, hugging someone hello, having people over, you know, things that were like autopilot, were suddenly, I have to put my groceries in an airlock and hose them down with like fire and Clorox. Rah, rah, rah. Who could blame somebody for being like, I don't have like the capacity to constantly make these decisions. Daddy, it's all you. Just decide. And again, I don't want to invalidate women who have gravitated towards this as like, they're just, I can't make a choice. No. I mean, you know what my big thesis of this video is? When it comes to TRADWIFEs, I get it. I get it, girl. It isn't for me. I don't like to cook. You know, it's not for me. I don't think it's for me. But I absolutely get the appeal. And you know what's funny? I asked you guys on my Instagram, does this lifestyle seem appealing? And my friends, and you guys too, like I've learned a lot of your names and I recognize a lot of your names. The women who were like, I get to stay home and bake and cook and take care of the house and I don't have to deal with Janet in HR and Dylan, my asshole boss, and James, who's keeping me down. I could just focus on pleasing my husband and my kids. And you know what? They love me. They love me. So I'm kind of already got a leg up there. The women who were curious / they were trad curious. I know these girls. They're the most alpha bitches I know. They are directors, VPs, engineers, authors, architects. They are no fucking joke. They were the ones who were like, yeah, that sounds nice. Why? Balance. Overcorrection. If you guys watched my most recent Evil Week, and you can watch it only in the Shallon Entourage, join, it's fantastic, because it was kind of, it was inspired by TRADWIFEs without even realizing I was being inspired by TRADWIFEs, because it was a whole breakdown. It was a whole course on embracing light and dark feminine energy. And every alpha woman I know is very good at dark feminine energy, because what's that about? Strategy, boldness, sex appeal, boundaries, sass, fire, right? Angelina Jolie. Right? And she is a bad bitch. She's a bitch who has it together. You don't picture Angelina Jolie as crying. You picture her as like fixing a motorcycle and flying a plane and jumping off. Like she is no joke. And the women I know, myself included, every advice I give to you, every course I do is also for me. I'm just doing it along with you. I'm maybe 2 miles down the road and I'm like shouting back what I have learned. I have been way too dark feminine. And the concept of light feminine, relaxing, being soft, vulnerable, warm, loving in relationships was very frightening. I mean, it was so scary, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would swim with sharks before I was warm and gooey around a man. Why? Because I couldn't trust that men were going to pull up. You pick where we go for dinner. Guess the fuck what? He's not picking anywhere. And I'm going to be sitting there in the passenger seat of his truck, be like, no, you didn't think you'd need reservations on a Friday night? You didn't think that? Okay, no, we can go to Dairy Queen. We can go to Dairy Queen, Shane, since you couldn't do anything. It was dynamics like that. It was experiences like that. That was like, see what happens? See what happens when I relax? See what happens when I let go of control? Everything falls apart. I don't have the luxury of being sweet and soft. In that course, I tell you how, because I have learned to do it. And if I can do it, you can do it. I promise, because I am as spiky as they come. And I have learned to embrace that sweetness, still keep the boundaries, still keep the fire, but I was all fence and no hearth. I was just a bunch of moats and a bunch of fences. Now, I've got the fence, but the fence is protecting this warm, cozy, glowing house that is my light feminine energy. And so when I think of a TRADWIFE, I think us alpha females who are like the career bitches, it's that overcorrection. You know, it's the Montana to New York or New York to Montana. It's like, wow, I am so embedded in my dark feminine. It feels like just like a brain massage to think about going wildly in the opposite direction and just becoming the casserole queen. Fuck it, spaghetti pie. What is spaghetti pie? I heard one of my strategists told me about spaghetti pie today. I was like, I've never needed those two words combined. It's like sandpaper thong. Don't need to know what that is. Ooh, just like when that trend of vajazzling, when you put like bedazzles on your cooter. Also no. That's spaghetti pie. Cooter glitter. If a man needs your cooter to be sparkly, that's homosexual. That's homosexual. If a man needs a razzle dazzle reason to like get up inside you, that's a gay guy. Okay. So you need to play like Liza Minnelli. Okay. I'm sorry. I did this motion. I'm so sorry. TRADWIFEs. I get it. And I think, you know, all of us, alpha, and I don't mean to say alpha females in that and negate stay-at-home women as non-alpha females. It's tricky business. Well, let me finish my thought. A lot of us career women, I'll say us career women, have thought about running away and joining the circus of just being a stay-at-home. What, a stay-at-home single person? Kind of, yeah. Like just not having to do this rat race anymore. Because, you know, I've talked about this before, the covenant of the nerd. The covenant of the nerd, which is, hi Lauren, if you're watching, I know you love it. Lauren's one of my best friends. We've grown up together since kindergarten, and now she's my lawyer. She's a bad bitch. If you hear from Lauren, you have lived your life wrong. You've lived your life very wrong. And now the devil herself has come to your doorstep. She's the best. The covenant of the nerd was like, work hard, like achieve, A+, Ivy League, book deal, rah, 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 corner office, rah. And you know what you're going to get rewarded with? The easiest, best life. And I took that to mean love. That's all I ever wanted. I wanted to be in love. I'm like Jennifer Lopez. That's what I always dreamed about. And I thought, okay, I just need to get really successful. No. Because I see these more trad girls scooping up the relationship dynamics that I might want. And I'm like, got it. I think a lot of us alpha females feel very fundamentally betrayed by life in this way. Why is it the better I get, the lonelier I get? Why is that fair? Why is that okay? I just did a video on this about Jennifer Lopez and her, you know, her documentaries that came out. Watch it. It's really good. I think, not her document, my video on her document. That's what's really good. So like the TRADWIFE thing has a lot of appeal. So here's some criticisms of TRADWIFEs that I don't think are fair. Number one, the assumption that everyone who's doing this is some sort of white supremacist, which is something I read. I did a lot of research for this because I'm like, what is a TRADWIFE? Like, you know, what is this? And that was the subtext all across the board. Oh, anti-feminist and they're white supremacists. This is to me like looking at Muslim girls who wear a hijab, you know, the headscarf, and being like, terrorists, they're fucking terrorists. How dare you make that assumption about a Muslim girl, about a Christian woman? How dare you take it there? That is so insane to me and fucked up. And this is why feminists get a bad name, because they say things like this. These weren't men who were writing these articles. These were women. The same women who will turn around and be like, my body, my choice, which is correct. It is your body and your choice. But it's like, not like that. No, no, you got Okay. And the TRADWIFEs will tell you something that they really want to, you know, beat back against is the concept that they have no power. You know, this is something that from all the TRADWIFEs who've written essays and blogged about it and stuff, this is really something that gets under their skin. That they're like, it's assumed that we're just like subservient little lapdogs. Listen, girl, to be fair, I think a lot of you are. Maybe not all of you, but I think a lot of you are. In the way that the TRADWIFE people could look at us career women and be like, you guys are just like spiky dikey reptiles, you know? You're just, we hate everything, and we're just like loud and obnoxious. Some of us are. I mean, yeah. Some stereotypes are true, you know? Some data is good. But the ones who insist that they do have power, this is what they say. And if you are a TRADWIFE, please fill in the blanks of what I'm saying, but I'm kind of parodying this from some trad influencers that I've seen. She's like, I know exactly what I bring to the table. I know how I'm going to nurture our family. I know my skill set. I know my supportiveness. And therefore, I am extremely discerning about who I pick as a mate. And I have very high standards for what I expect from him. Oh, he's bringing home the money. He's going for promotions. He's mowing the lawn. He's fixing things. He's putting the kids to bed, whatever it is. Like, the division of labor is extremely clear in TRADWIFE dynamics in the ways that in, more feminist, modern ways, maybe women aren't delineating. And it's funny because we think of, us career women, it's like we're boss bitches. We're not afraid to say things, aren't we? Aren't we? I can't remember the last time I sat down with a man and been like, this is what I expect from you. These are the KPIs, key performance indicators. I want you to do this. I need you to check 80% of those boxes for me to be happy and continuing to blow you. TRADWIFEs are saying this. I mean, they're saying that they're saying this. Again, there's some that aren't. And again, there's some bad bitches out there who are like, no, I set a man down and I say that at some point in our relationship. Absolutely. Amazing. But I do think it's interesting that she, it's like, we think that the career bitches are like so bold and out there. And it's the submissive girls who are maybe more clear about what they expect a man to bring to the table. Because if you want a very traditional, gender rolled dynamic, yeah, it's like, well, I don't know. Kyle, who is killing the spiders today? Don't look at my ass. No, I'm not going and doing this. You're doing that. I know my side of the table. I know my division of labor. What is yours? And I think in any relationship, knowing the parameters, knowing the edge of the box is crucial. And again, a lot of us alpha females, we're afraid to do that. We're afraid to have these conversations. They feel risky. They feel vulnerable. I mean, at least they have to me. I guess I shouldn't put words in anyone's mouth. They have to me for sure. And as I've gotten more confident, as I've gotten better at boundaries, better at sitting with my feelings, more willing to leave assholes, I have gotten better at being like, this is what I expect, because I am now very aware of what I bring to the table, because my side of the street is clean, baby. The therapy, the training, the vitamins, the habit stacking, all of this. I have beautified my emotional real estate. I know what this place looks like. What does yours look like? And because I've done that beautification work on myself, I'm not afraid to walk away from people because I'm good on my own. I'm okay to sit inside myself and sit in my feelings and be independent. So if you're going to want access, if you want entree into my life, what's in it for me? If you're in the Shallontrage, we've been talking about this a lot because I literally said this to a guy in London who's like trying to go home with me. I was like, what's in this for me? He couldn't answer the question. By the way, he had a year to do it. He did it. I think I talked about this in the last video. He had a year to do it. Couldn't do it. So yeah, maybe the TRADWIFEs are really onto something. But let's look at the downsides, okay? Well, first of all, let's keep going with the upsides. The upsides are, yeah, your boss loves you. Your employees, your kids, or whatever, your kids don't work for you. You more likely work for them. Children are just little tyrants, right? They love you. They want to make you happy. Does your company want to make you happy? No. Do they care if you live or die? Absolutely not. No, they literally don't care if you die. Your family cares. So in a sense, it feels like there's some job security, and it feels like maybe it's a lower lift. Like, hey, do I need to get really good at spaghetti pie? That doesn't seem so difficult. Or do I need to get really good at RFPs and spreadsheets and hedge funds? You know, that seems more difficult. More difficult. But is it? Is it? Let's look at the downsides of being a trad wife. One of my friends is. You wouldn't think it maybe from the outside, but when her and her boyfriend got together, he like retired her. He paid off her student loans. She got laid off from her job. He's like, you never need to work again. And she loved it. She's like, I've just never really been a career person. And I'm like, how are you my best friend? Because nothing resonated with me less. We were like 25, 26 in New York City. And I was like clawing for like every foothold in publishing and magazine journalism and TV and all of this stuff. And I'm like, the idea of getting taken out of the game now was like, you might as well have put me in prison. That's the only thing that would take me out of the game is I was incarcerated. Honestly surprised I have never been. It's kind of impressive. But she loved it. And then the reality kind of started to dawn on her, you know? And this is not something she will ever admit or say out loud. She doesn't have to because it's so obvious. Oh, she works all right. She works for Jeff. She works for her husband. And guess what? Guess how many PTO days she gets a year? 0. There are no days where she's not his wife. There are no days where she's not a mom of 3 kids. There is no retirement plan. There's no 401k of just her money. There is no HR who's going to maybe intervene if he's not being a fair boss. And here's the other thing. If he decides to fire her and divorce her, she has less market value than a woman who gets fired from a job. Let us break this down. When you get fired from a job, laid off, company goes up under, whatever, you have now re-entered the marketplace with more experience, more connections, you're wiser, you are more valuable as an employee. A divorced woman in the market of dating, you are less valuable. I'm sorry, you're older, you have kids, that's not, always very easy. It's not easy to date as a single parent, even just logistically. Even if every single guy you meet is like, fuck yeah, I want to raise another man's kid, which I know a lot of my single moms, that's absolutely not how men feel. I mean, not all of them, of course. Guys are stepdads all the time, but it's a consideration. It is not a clean slate, and you are not actually seen as higher market value. Again, just by the virtue of you're older, you have emotional baggage. Let's also not forget that statistically, a woman's financial situation vastly bottoms out, decreases after she gets divorced. A man's statistically always goes up, always goes up. Why? Well, men make more than we do. Women are more responsible for the child rearing. So that's a burden. And it's like, well, they get child support and alimony. You know how much money one of my friends here in Montana gets in child support? $57 a month. 2 kids. I'm like, who did you have represent you? A shoe? Did my dog Cowboy represent? I could have been like, hello, it is me, a lawyer. I could have done a better. But that's the thing. You get kicked out on your ass. He controls all the bank accounts, especially if you're a trad wife. It's like, I just don't have a head for numbers. All that money's his. He's been talking to other men who are like, hey, if you're going to make a big purchase, do it before you file for divorce so that debt is half hers. Hey, you want to maybe adjust how she is in your Social Security so she's not getting all of your pension. You want to move some money offshore. People are not giving this advice to women. They're talking about, love and heart center and just, we're talking feelings. They're talking brain. They're talking money. They're talking logistics with one another. Men are so dumb, but not where it counts. Not when it comes to protecting their own interests. No, they are not. And yeah, you look, there's stories out there as she got this much in the divorce, she got that much in the divorce. Of course, but how much does she spend in legal fees? How long till she can access that money? Where is she living in the meantime? I met a girl when I was in London. She's an Aster, as in John Jacob Astor, like Standard Oil. She's an Aster. She married into the Astor family and she divorced her husband. And she is living in a 1-bedroom apartment in London, barely keeping the lights on, because even though they filed 2 years ago, he's drawing it out and drawing it out and drawing it out, and she can't access any of the money from the sale of their house until the divorce is absolutely final. Who knows when that's going to be? it doesn't look how you think it's going to look. Sometimes, God bless the women who it works out for, but that's not a viable retirement plan. That's not a viable retirement plan. You work for a company, you know if there's a pension, you know if there's a 401k, you know if there's severance. And of course, listen, companies fuck you also. Companies fuck you over also, and you have maybe less recourse getting a lawyer, but there's also not the emotion. That company isn't the father of your children. That company isn't part of your church with you and part of your, emotional identity with your family in the same way that a husband is. You'll go to war with a company before you'll go to war with a man. And again, with what money? With what money? At least when you work for a company, that money's going straight into your bank account. With a man, when you're a TRADWIFE, that's his money. And make no mistake, sweetheart. The people with money have the power. And you can say, a friend of mine, she's a sugar baby and she runs that fat man. No, she doesn't. Because he could wake up tomorrow and be like, your tits are saggy. Get out of my house. And what is she going to do about it? Nothing. Her power is bestowed upon her. Real power is money you make and you control. That's power, with very few exceptions. And again, we're looking at these outliers. Well, my friend, the sugar baby. Well, my friend got all this in the divorce. Why don't you pull back and look at more statistics? Look at more statistics. I'm a data-driven person. I don't like the data of being a TRADWIFE. It's funny that for some women, it seems like a very stable situation. For me personally, that seems like the riskiest situation of all. I don't like it. It's not enough control. It's not enough control. And again, this is what feminism is. Different strokes for different folks. If we're allowed to have different hair colors and do our tits different and wear different clothes, are we not allowed to have different professions? Different social and, romantic dynamics? Of course we are. Of course we are. And I also don't believe that feminism is blindly yay-saying what other women do. And people come, when their indictments of me skew towards women should be supporting women, go fuck yourself. I support people of quality character. First and foremost, if they happen to be a woman, amazing. But just because you happen to have some labia, some flaps going on, that doesn't mean that I'm like in your corner no matter how you behave in this world. You have to prove that you can behave like a normal, logical, upstanding, altruistic, authentic person, then I'm in your corner for sure. If you're a dirt person, get fucked, sorry. But I will advocate for you having a lot of choices until you prove that you can't be trusted with choices, Until you're like, they shouldn't be allowed to make a choice. Like a drunk driver. Of course you should be allowed to drive until you've proven that, no, actually you shouldn't. Then my support for you goes. So yeah, the TRADWIFE thing, the pros are you get to really embrace your light feminine. You get to work for a company that loves you, that has an invested interest in a true interest in your happiness. This is how we're assuming the dynamics are. The downside is that if you get fired, your market value is a lot lower than if you get fired from a company. And make no mistake, your husband is the boss. The person who makes the money is the boss. And you could be squirreling away your own money. But again, that is at the bestowing of him. You are taking part of that money for yours because he is allowing you to. Because he's not changing the password. It's his money. If he's making it, it's his money. No, it's the family's money. Okay. If I were a man, if I were like, I've dated girls, if I were like trad lesbian husband, that money would be my money. That money would be my money. And I would look at every single thing my wife bought and be like, did you need that? Maybe I'm a toxic male, like hiding in a woman's body. But not that I would always say that, but that would be, if I did feel that, I would feel empowered to say that because it's my money. Have you ever lent someone money and then saw them living wild and you're like, is that my cash that you're spending? Okay. That's interesting. I also think a TRADWIFE situation can create a parent-child dynamic with you and your man. If he's metering out things to you, that's kind of daddy. If he's taking care of everything, that's kind of daddy. I will also say another potential downside of TRADWIFEs is I don't know how much social life encouragement these women are getting. Are they encouraged to have friends, to go out? I mean, my friend who's the trad wife, it was always like, oh my gosh, I can hang out this weekend. Jeff's out of town. Like, I would get it. I get it. Like, hey, I have these days off work. My boss is gone. The office is closed. But it was like, you are not, the subtext is she is not allowed to go get a glass of wine if Jeff is home. She's got to be home, talking to him, being there for, she's at work. Clock starts, your shift starts. Only JK, your shift is never ended. Your shift is never ended. You do get to leave work. No, I work all the time. No, you don't. No, you don't. And you also don't fuck your boss, probably. You don't have to check emails at 2 a.m. If your husband wakes you up and needs something and you're a trad wife, I mean, yeah, there's no getting away from him. So if you think it's less work, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily true. It might be work you enjoy, and so that's okay. It's like how I feel about being an influencer. Oh, it seems so easy. It isn't. It isn't. I mean, it's amazing and I love it and I wouldn't trade it for any job. I'm here because I want to be, but I definitely wouldn't say it's easy. It's the hardest job I've ever had and it's pretty nonstop. But it's different strokes for different folks, you know? I am in this career eyes wide open. And so if you're considering this trad wife path, I think you should be eyes wide open about this as well. What do you guys think? Do you want to run away and join the trad wife, movement? Does just cooking all day seem amazing? Does it seem amazing for like 3 months, maybe a year, and then you're like, I'd start to tear my fucking hair out? I don't know. What do you guys think? Okay, tell me in the comment section and we'll keep talking about it. And happy belated International Women's Day. Like I said, if you want some help from me, go to Passes and I will get you a custom video. Love you, Shalligators.